Well, home prices are heading up, and they're going to go up a lot more. Now, I know there's been many pundits that are waiting for some kind of a crash, that we're going to have a housing crash in 2022. It's the same housing crash that we're going to have in 2020. It's the same housing crash we're going to have in 2021. And those were stellar years for real estate investors. If you wouldn't have wanted to miss those, and I don't think you're going to want to miss 2022 or 2023 and probably 2024, because I think there's lots of money to be made. So let me go to my very first slide. That's going to be telling us what we're going to look at here. So the first slide is our title slide. Home prices are heading up, and the reason we think home prices are heading up is we have inflation and demographics. Now, oftentimes I talk about my timing model. Well, the timing model has been very, very accurate. Doesn't mean it's going to remain accurate. It's been very, very accurate. It accurately timed the two corrections that we had. We had a double correction. Time and told when we're going to be done, particularly the one in March of 2018. That was pretty stellar. We got that to the month, and we knew when it was going to end up. And it allowed us to get in, make a few dollars, and then we knew that we were having a correction, but they were corrections in ongoing bull markets, and allowed us to make some purchases. So the timing model has been really good. So let me just go to that very first slide. Let's just discuss that for just a second. I've talked about this many, many times. This is where we are. I think we're here. This is the accumulation phase. I think we're here. I think we're moving up this time continuum. Maybe we have another 9 to 12 months in the accumulation phase. Then we're going to go into the explosive phase. And I think this is probably 2024, 2025, fourth quarter 2024, first quarter 2025. So lots of time to make some money in the meantime. So the cycle has been very, very accurate. It told us about March 2018 when we entered into it. Told us the fourth quarter 2019, came back out of it and told us we'd have a second one in December of 2020. So we got a little bit of pop, and we were able to make some very, very good purchases because we knew these were corrections in an ongoing bull market. Now, as you know, I interviewed Charles Nenner. Charles Nenner often says he knows what is going to happen, doesn't necessarily know why. And that's because we use cycles. And the cycle is predicting along the time continuum as to where you should be in the cycle. And you have signposts that come along the way, like the two corrections. We knew that we were on a correct time continuum because the corrections came in according to the cycle. It was a kind of a confirmation to it. But I often don't know why. So everybody wants to know about why. So we're talking about demographics and inflation. We've been talking about inflation for a really long time, much longer than most people have been talking about. We've been looking at inflation for at least the last year and a half, almost 2 years now, talking about inflation coming. And here it is. We could see it in the PPI, Producers Price Index. That was very, very relevant, but also there's its own cycle. Now the question we have, is this a transitory, quote unquote, transitory inflation? Or is this a full-blown cycle? It's looking more and more likely that it's going to be a full-blown cycle. So let's just go into that and take a look at my next slide, and we can talk about that. Now, this inflation is global. It is pervasive virtually everywhere. It's in the supply chains. Of course, we're having supply chain issues, but this is in the Producer Price Index where the supply chains start. So here in the United States, we have a CPI, which is Consumer Price Index, at 6.2%. But China, where lots of product are being made, their Producer Price Index is 13.5%, double what we have here, and that is the base. So you have to remember that's where it starts. They're getting it at the producer price level, and then it builds from there. So China is at 13.5%. That's pretty remarkable. Japan, also a big producer, is at 8% Producer Price Index. Either one is still higher than our Consumer Price Index here in the United States, which is leading us to think that we're probably going to go much, much higher. Inflation is getting into the system. So we've talked about this, that if it gets in the system, and we're using the truck drivers as an easy analogy that everybody can understand. If the truck driver goes to fill up his gas tank, and it costs him more money to fill up his gas tank, when he delivers the product, they have to charge more for the delivery. And if they deliver to a retailer who has to now pay more money for shipping, they have to pass that on to the consumer, and that's you. So it gets to be a cycle. It gets to be a vicious cycle. And that may very well be what we're entering into now. So let me go to my very next slide, and we'll talk about this. Again, your comments are welcome. Keep in mind that people are always asking questions. I get a lot of questions asked after the video. A lot of people in my company ask, and you are welcome to. don't be afraid to ask questions and share them with other people. Now, we're getting a huge surprise index. People are not expecting this inflation. Now, we've been talking about this, but there is no abatement whatsoever. You can see, we've used this slide before. You can see that in October, just 3-4 weeks ago, it's 6.2%. So here we are. There is absolutely no slowing down of this inflation. It's in the system, and it doesn't look like it's going to be transitory. And if it is transitory, it could be 9 months to a year. And I've often made the mention of the fact that now we have a government that wants to stimulate the economy. And the economy is just going along like crazy. We can't get enough workers. We can't get enough people to do what we want to do. There's just so much going on in the economy, and then we're going to add stimulus to it. It's going to really explode what we already have. So let me go to my next slide, and let's talk about that one. Now, I've also used this before. This is a harbinger of what's coming. Now, we keep records of all this, but this has not seen this type of inflation till this last spike. Now, I lived through this inflation. Everything went up in this inflationary spike. Homes were going up for a double-digit increase from about 1975 to about 1981. They went up and went up and they went up and they went up. And it took 8 years to kill that inflationary spike. And it was transitory. If you think of it of a 40 or 50 year time frame, that would be transitory. It just destroyed people's portfolio. If you were a bond investor, it was just absolutely awful. Your interest rates went up to kill the inflation, and Paul Volcker put us into recession. Now, recession is one of the quickest ways to kill inflation, because recession will kill inflation. It'll just kill it. It'll bring it right down and it'll destroy it. But we're looking at this. This is the highest spike. Now, is it going to continue and go here? I don't know. But nothing looks like it's not going to go there. So you need to be concerned about this for your own protection. So anything that you need to buy, you should probably buy. If you're looking to make a big purchase, you should probably buy that purchase. If you're looking to buy a home, I would certainly tell you to go out there and buy a home. But it's the same with food and cars and furniture and putting a new roof on. All these things look like they have an inflationary spiral here, and you need to get the things that you're going to use and buy them. Get them while they're still at this level if you can. Let's get it done. Now, that's what inflation is. It gets to be pervasive. It's in absolutely everything. It goes from your food to your services to going to the dentist, going to the doctor, getting someone come over and paint your house, cut your grass, change your tire, put brakes on, everything starts to expand, and you get inflation virtually everywhere. Now, if you're my age and you're getting, say we're getting $3,000 a month from Social Security, you get a cost of living increase, a COLA, cost of living adjustment. However, inflation generally way outstrips that. So we got like a 3% or a little over a 3% cost of living adjustment, and we're at 6.2%. We've already gotten double. So that little adjustment that you received has already been just gone. You've lost it already in your purchasing power. So if you don't protect yourself when you get an inflationary spike like this, you can really get hurt. So we want to make sure there's strategies to allow you to prosper. You can do very, very well. Now, here's what we were just talking about. This is the University of Michigan inflation expectations. This just came out from Zero Hedge. And you can see that people are beginning to think that inflation is going to be with us all the way back to 2007. And of course, this will take you back to really into the 70s. And they're starting to think that inflation is going to be with us. That is inflation expectations. It gets to be a spiral that starts to feed on itself. And of course, once it starts feeding on itself, it's very, very difficult to stop. Typically how it gets stopped is an enormous recession. I don't see a recession anywhere on the horizon at all. Now, you can always have a Mad Max event, but I don't see anything. I don't see a recession anywhere. I think prices are going to continue going up for 2 or 3 more years significantly. I think you're going to get double-digit inflation on home prices for the foreseeable future. So what does that tell you? It tells you need to get out and buy something. So if you're going to buy a house, you better go out and do that, and do that before things start getting really carried away. Let me go to my next slide. We'll just talk about that. Now, talk about inflation. Now, I have talked about inflation in the past, so you can go look at the other videos. Here's something we haven't talked about before. I talk about this in our consultations. One of the other possibilities to confirm my timing model, because my timing model says things are going to go considerably higher from here. The why could very well easily be demographics. But I want you to understand that we have a big bulge. Now, I'm a baby boomer. The baby boomers really affected virtually everything there ever was. So from diapers to cribs to elementary schools to high schools to colleges, this big bulge of population came through, and we had to build all the schools. We had to do all kinds of things. And of course, baby boomers, the baby boomer generation affected was a big demographics. Millennials are bigger. There's more of them, and they're going to do the same thing the baby boomers did. The millennials are going to affect everything. So millennials, that person born between 1982 and 2000. So now in the United States, in the age group 25 to 54. Now, this is the most active economic group there are. It's between 25 and 54. That's household formation. They're buying their first house. Their kids are getting to school. You got colleges. They're buying furniture. They're buying appliances. They're buying automobiles. They're going on vacation. These people are spending lots of money. And out of that 126 million, 95 million are millennials. So this is a huge, enormous bulge. So just think between 25 and 54 years old, 95 million of them are millennials. And of course, they're coming out of home, and they're going to do family formation. So a lot of them are starting to find their mates. They're getting married. They're developing families. And once they start buying houses and they start having kids, of course, they're going to want the same thing we want. They're going to want, a backyard for a swing set and a sandbox, and they're going to want, a driveway so the kids can play basketball and ride their bicycles and throw a ball. So this is going to affect housing. Now, we made a lot of fun of them in the last 5 or 10 years, saying that they were living in mom and dad's basement. Well, they're coming out of mom and dad's basement, and they're going to start family formations. When they get married, they're not going to live at home. So they're going out and either going to get an apartment, which is going to take some more of our residential housing, or they're going to go buy. They're going to do one of those two. They're probably going to rent first, then go buy. But they are going to affect the housing industry in a very, very big way. So couple that with inflation, I'm going to tell you, you're going to start seeing some home prices, which fits so beautifully right into my timing model. It's just, it's actually scary sometimes that does that. So again, we're seeing inflation and we see demographics. We're starting to see where baby boomers are coming into the marketplace. I'm sorry, not baby boomers, millennials. I'm a baby. I see baby boomers every single day. So that's probably where I'm getting that. So let me go to my very next slide. And here's what's happening. So you've got inflation coming, and you've got the lowest inventory in decades. And the demand is just off the charts. So now you're getting a demand from demographics. We have this dislocation of population around the country where you have a lot of people that are leaving the high tax states and going to the lower tax states. You also have places like California where people are leaving California and going to Florida, Texas, and Arizona. That's happening in New Jersey, New York, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Seattle, Washington, Oregon, and of course California. And you have dislocation, so they're moving from those states to the other states and putting housing pressure. We have enormous housing pressure here, but we have inflation. And when we have private meetings with builders, the builders have so many people wanting to buy product from them, they're limiting how many they will build in a particular subdivision. And here in Phoenix, the magic number is 2. They're going to allow 2 homes to be built in each subdivision every month. So they're only picking 2 people, and they have huge demand. And privately, their concern is if I sell a house to you for $500,000, the way prices are going up with labor and supply and getting materials, it may cost them $600,000 to bring that inventory to market. So they charge you $500, and it costs them $600 to bring the property to market, and they lose money. And they do not want to do that. So they're very, very concerned. They're going very, very slowly. And because of that, we've got the lowest inventory in decades. Now, we entered into 2016 with about 10 million homes shortfall nationally. That has not come close. The builders have ramped up a little bit. Remember, they really, really lost a lot of money in the 2005, 2006 bubble. They had inventory everywhere. Phoenix we had thousands of properties that were vacant on inventory, and builders lost a lot of money. Because of that, they have been constraining their inventory. their lenders aren't going to let them loose and start speccing homes. So they've been very, very constrained. And of course, now we have labor constraints on them, and we have supply chain constraints on them. And it's causing the lowest inventory in literally decades. And you had this huge demand. So this is just basic economics. So when you have huge demand chasing low inventory, prices have got to go up, just have to go up. And now we've got household formation is coming as well as inflation. And you're starting to see the millennials, they're going to want a home of their own. So this is adding all kinds of housing pressure. So we as investors, our inventory is doing exactly what we thought we was going to do. Our prices of our properties is going up, the values of them. Keep in mind, we're not selling at this point. We're income investors, but because we have demand, we're seeing rentals go up, the value and the rents each and every month. Every time we have a new turnover, the rent goes up, and it goes up significantly. Now here in Phoenix, we raised rents 22%. We just talk about this inventory. You can see that this inventory is trending down. This line here, it's a little hard to see, this little faded line. That's the inventory for 21. So inventory is really, really dropping down. A lot of people who own homes don't want to sell their home because they're afraid if they sold their house, they won't be able to get another one. So it's limiting the amount of existing inventory that's coming on market, and the builders aren't bringing new inventory to market. Now, when you have markets like Phoenix that are enjoying 150,000 in population every year, you have more and more residents, so you need new inventory. Existing inventory doesn't even enter into that equation. So if the builders aren't bringing enough inventory to supply the people coming here, it causes housing shortages, and that's what we have here in Maricopa County. We have a housing shortage. Those that are lucky enough to get a rental or get a house are just glad to do that, and it's supply demand. So I know that there's a lot of pundits out there. There's a lot of YouTubers. There's a lot of people that are saying that we're going to have a housing crash in 2022. I just don't see that. Maybe they see something I don't see. I just don't see that. I see demand continuing. Now, we've just had Zillow come out of the market, but they made a lot of mistakes. Real estate does not lend itself to numbers. It's not fungible. You can do numbers for IBM stock or Amazon stock because one Amazon stock is the same as another Amazon stock. Same with rice, same with gold, same with silver, but not so much with houses because each and every one of them is built on a different piece of dirt to begin with, and they all age differently and they all upgrade differently. So consequently, when you put them into a mathematical model, it doesn't work. Now, the reality of it is, in these great markets of Florida, Texas, and Arizona, they have more population coming to them, and the population is growing, that there's a demand for housing, and that demand for housing just needs to be taken care of, needs to be addressed. The prices aren't going up. So rents are certainly going up. When you have demand, that prices are going to go up. And we just got this from Zero Hedge too. So rents are going up. There's a 4-month lead. And we know as prices and rentals go up, they go up together. They go up in tandem. And we're seeing a national rental increase all across the country. So as an investor, this is so good for us because we can find properties virtually everywhere. And again, we had the index, the national index said that in the last 12 months we had 19% appreciation across the United States. But in the great markets, like here in Phoenix, we did 33%. And of course, each one of our markets has segments. Our job as real estate investment advisors is to put you into those segments that get the best. And a lot of our properties did better than 33%. It was absolutely a remarkable year. So we're really, really happy with that. I see no abatement. I think things are just going up. I don't see a market crash at all. So I'm going to highly recommend that you go out and buy a house. Now, here's the other thing. Just today, I was told that the lenders are starting to reduce the FICO score. The FICO score is your credit score. So it was like 620, 630 for an FHA. Now it's coming down to 580. That's a very, very low FICO score. That means that a whole lot of more people, there's a huge segment of the buying population, just became eligible to get an FHA loan. A huge amount of people just became eligible to get an FHA loan, and they're going to go out and buy. I highly recommend that they go out and buy. Go buy a house. Go get one. If FHA will give you a loan, by golly, I'd go ahead and do that. We go to my next slide. Now, this is CYA. We sell real estate here in the state of Arizona. West USA is a $5.4 billion firm. They hold our licenses. They do our paperwork. They keep us in compliance. You're welcome to reach me at the corporate number. If you like my videos, give me a big thumbs up. You're also welcome to comment if you have some ideas or some thoughts. Send it to us. We're going to put this up on YouTube. Put it up on YouTube. You can send it to me at michael@michaeldouville.com. I get an awful lot of them there. And that's where we get, I'm going to say the bulk of them come to michael@michaeldouville.com. However, I would say to you that it would be nice to see you put it in the comments on YouTube because a lot of people will see them and we're more than happy to respond. Now, I have been preaching and asking that you get into the real estate business, put at least 2 into your portfolio if you're a novice. These 2 books are going to help you a lot. They're available virtually everywhere. My Money Machine book is available all across the globe, and Real Estate Investing for Beginners has been published and is available at Amazon. Now, let me just reiterate. I think home prices are going up for the next 2 to 3 years. I think we're going to see double digit now. 33% in Phoenix. I'm not so sure we're going to see that again next year. But we're getting a lot of pressure from California, a lot of people in migration, and we have growth right here. We have organic growth in our own marketplace. So I don't see any abatement of the housing shortage. Builders aren't bringing a lot of product to market, so we still have a shortage. So I would think that we're going to continue to see prices go up. I think rents are going to continue to go up. I don't see a crash. There is no showing a crash. Now, my timing model still shows the fact that we should still have much, much higher prices coming, as lots of years left for you to make some money. If you're my age, you can really enhance your retirement by getting a couple of properties now. And if you're a baby boomer, let's get that done before you retire. If you're a millennial, let's get a property for you that's perfect. Get on my strategies. By the time you're 40 years old, you'll be retired. We'd love to see that. Now, I'm here in Phoenix. If you have any questions whatsoever, I'm more than happy to talk to you. If you have questions with your financial advisor, we're more than happy to talk to you then. We buy houses for you. They're in your name. We have property managers that handle them for you, and they send a check. You own them. They belong to you. We're here to facilitate any way we possibly can. I'll answer any questions. My very best to you.